Welcome to the Kingsburg Community Church podcast, Thinking About Faith. We pray that this podcast helps you deepen your faith in God and stir some inner thoughts about the Christian life.
Hi, and welcome to our Thinking About Faith podcast. This is Ricky here again. This is not Ed. Ed gets a little bit of a break because we're doing our series about thinking about our faith in the workplace. And I've got the privilege of bringing in some of our KCC people to share about how they think about their faith in the workplace. And today, I've got Linda Simmons with us to share about her faith and how she thinks about it on a day-to-day basis in the workplace and our Kingsburg education system. So, Linda, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ricky. It's exciting to sit here and have a chat.
Yeah, and you're on your lunch break from work.
I sure am.
So we'll try to keep this to a timely podcast episode. So I really appreciate you making the time to do this. So to start, could you just share a little bit about yourself, maybe some of your faith journey, and then what you're doing currently for your work?
Sure. So I am Linda. I'm married to Brian. We've been married for 25 years, and we have 3 awesome grown children. My youngest just turned 18, so I'm kind of in a different part of life in my parenting. And I have been in education for over 20 years. My first career was in social work and just found that I was drawn to being in the education portion of it instead of social work. So been in the Kingsburg Elementary District now for 18 years and just been a real blessing. I've been in multiple positions in the district, including school counselor and then an administrator. And now I get the awesome blessing of working with the district office as the community schools coordinator. So it's been quite a ride, and been a member at KCC for 25 years, and just a blessing to not only have my community of educators, but also my community of faith in Kingsburg and at Kingsburg Community Church. So,
yeah, pretty extensive resume there. just heard. And so now you're doing this new role, community coordinator.
Community schools coordinator.
Community schools coordinator.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that role.
Yes.
What that is.
The state had a time before COVID where they were really seeing the need to broaden the connections between schools and the communities, knowing that, yes, we're here to educate kids. We want them to be capable in the areas of reading, writing, math, science, history, all of that. But what we were finding, and the state was finding, was that if kids didn't have their needs met as kind of a whole child model, so thinking of a child can learn to the best of their abilities when they're well fed, when they're rested, when their health needs are met, when their social emotional needs are met, when they feel connected and supported within their school community, but even within their community as a whole, their neighborhoods and their houses of faith in their community is lifting them up and their family up, and that they're valued as students, then they are more successful in their academics. So the state put out a grant called the Community Schools Grant. And in 2022, our district was able to go for that grant, and we were awarded that grant. And it has allowed us to really broaden our abilities to meet all the needs of our students. So one of the things that our superintendent, Dr. Sever, talks about on a regular basis is that we want to be a district that's all inclusive. So our goal, of course, is to have the best teachers in the classrooms teaching our kids the things they need to know to grow up and be good parts of our society. But we know that we need to meet their social emotional needs, their mental health needs, their physical needs. And so this grant has allowed us to bring on staff members and initiatives and trainings and professional developments to really connect students at a deeper level and to connect with our community at a deeper level. So it's been an absolute blessing to be in this new role. And this is my second school year in this role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. How many years is the grant cover?
Yeah. So the grant is, it's a 5-year start grant.
Yeah.
And then the state will look at, how we're doing, how effective our connections with the community is. We'll have to provide data to show that we're improving academics, we're improving engagement for our students and our families. And hopefully we have all hopes that the state will see how effective our work is and continue in some way to support us. And then also we have our local control funding formulas and our LCAP that will hopefully help with these efforts to continue. So my goal is to show how great this work is and how important it is, how valuable it is to our students and our families and our community as a whole, and that the work will continue. Kingsburg's such an unique and interesting community, and to be somewhere where many, many people in our community already see the value that our students have and already want our community to be connected to our schools and our schools to be connected to our community, that I think that, we're really blessed, and I'm really blessed to be able to do this work. So I foresee that these initiatives that we're setting forth are going to continue even after 5 years. Yep.
And I see, and I know a little bit about the things you're doing and how your faith is really a huge part of that and a part of the work that you get to do. And I'm excited to get more into that in a moment. But first I want to circle back a little bit into what led you down the path to, you started in social work, counseling, in education. Did you feel called into that? Was there something that happened in your life that you're like, I know this is what I want to do? What was that process like for you?
Well, I was young, just out of college with a degree in social work and really excited to get started. And Brian and I had just gotten married. And so I found myself as a CPS social worker. And although that was good work, and I was thankful that the Lord provided an income, at that time when we were so young and naive, that I, in that work, found that I really was devastated and heartbroken for what some of the families were going through, some of the situations that the parents had found themselves in, whether it had been because of drugs or alcohol or other abusive situations that they had, and they were at a point of extreme crisis when you have CPS, Child Protective Services, coming to knock at your door and your children are in harm's way. That is at a point where crisis is huge. And what I found as Brian and I started to get ready to have our own family was that my heart was and my desire was to work with families before they were at that crisis breaking point. And I had found that school counseling, I had met these school counselors and had seen them and had seen how they knew the kids, they knew the parents, they knew the families, they knew the heartbreaking situations that I was entering as a social worker at the crisis point. And I said, wow, I really want the Lord to direct my path to intervene with these families earlier. And so I was very blessed at that time. Brian was working full time, and I was able to go back to school and add my school counseling master's degree and credentialing. And then by all blessing to be able to work here in Kingsburg in the neighborhoods that I was living in and in the community that I was living in, and with people that were attending our church, but also working alongside me as teachers and administrators. And it, there was a lot of steps after that, but I feel really strongly even to this day that the Lord has guided my steps in my career and in the people I've been able to work with and in the families and students that I've been able to work with. So,
yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. You saw the crisis point and you're like, and you felt called to get ahead of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can I be a part of averting this moment? And yeah, God bless those people who are there in the crisis moment. But you're feeling this calling to, hey, let's do what we can to not have it get here.
Yeah.
And that's exactly a huge part of what you're doing now.
Thank you.
In this new role. So yeah, thank you from our whole community.
Yeah.
So how does your faith, what are some ways that you see that your faith informs your approach to your work on a daily basis?
So let's see. I really start with my value that we're all made in the image of the Lord. And so every student that comes across my path, and a lot of times parents that come across my path, is that I sometimes unsuccessfully, but most of the time successfully believe that, that this is a child of God, and no matter how difficult they are or how frustrated they are, or parents that are upset with, something that has occurred in their child's situation or school day, that I'm seeing that each of them belong to the Lord and that He has a desire for their hearts. So, and I really see that there's value even in a student that isn't accomplishing the things we would want them to at their grade level, or behaving in a way that is very difficult to deal with in the school setting. I believe that each and every one of them has value. And I believe that comes from my faith that each person is fearfully and wonderfully made. And I found it's really hard to be frustrated with people that we're praying for. Yeah. So in my position in a public school setting, I can't always call it out like I would want to here that I can at church. But I feel like if I can know in my mind and my heart the value that the students have, the families have, and that the Lord loves them, then I can try to love them too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, part of your practice is not out in the open, but you're praying for the students who are coming through those doors. And that's, like you said, it's hard to give up on someone. It's hard to not see them as God sees them when you're praying for them and seeing that they're made in His image. So
yeah, I want to make sure that I'm clear that sometimes it's hard. We're at work and we're busy, and there's meetings and there's deadlines and there's, things that have to be accomplished and organizational tasks that must be done. So I can't say that I'm on my knees all day, every day for the people that are coming across my path. But I just think if I hold that value, that each kid is important and lovable, even when it's hard, to see them as lovable, that is key. So, yeah.
And so what are some of those challenges that you faced in your faith, following Jesus at your place of work? And how did you handle those times when it was a really big challenge to your faith? Yeah.
I think I can kind of break it down in 3 areas. Supporting staff members that are maybe having a hard time. Maybe they feel like that there is a lot of things that are being asked of them, maybe not enough time to prepare for the things they want to prepare for, feeling frustrated, or maybe they have a crisis in their home or in their marriage or in their own, parenting of their own children that is hard. And so when it's a staff member and often a friend, if I know they have faith, then maybe I can pray with them or for them. Maybe not. Maybe they're not a person of faith. And then it's how can I show them my loving support, as whether I was the school counselor or an administrator, like how can I support and love on them and still, help them do their job and do a good job. So again, praying for them and with staff members, praying with them at times when they've asked for prayer. People know that I'm a person of faith. People know that I'm a Christian, that I love the Lord, and that the hard things in my life are getting laid at the feet of the cross, so that they know that then I would be a person that would pray for them. So just having it be known that I'm a person of faith and that I will pray if you ask me to with them. With parents, it's often been hard because maybe I disagree with how they're parenting or how they're disciplining. There's times where I've been frustrated with how parents have talked to their students, maybe in front of us, and maybe have had to hold back a little bit because they are the parent, and I have to have respect of that relationship. But then maybe finding ways to later on ask them questions about how they think that's going, or providing, parenting support groups or other mentorships. Maybe they don't know what it looks like to help their child in a positive manner. They've only seen the negative manner. That's hard for me to hear, because I know I wouldn't want anybody to talk to my child that way, or God's children that way. So it's a balance. I can't, it's a public school setting, so I can't just come out and say, that's not a godly way. But I believe that parents do love their kids, and they just might not know how. So it's finding other ways to show them love, show them that there is a support system for them out there, and then just being there for the parents. In the third realm, with our students, again, I am not going to tell them that, I'm praying for them or Jesus loves them, or that they should come to church, because that's not my place. Yeah. However, I believe that praying for the kids, especially the ones that are behaving the most outrageously or having the most hard time, that we need to find a way to show them love and care and support. There's a quote that someone told me in the very beginning of my school counseling career, is that often students that who need love the most are the ones that are hardest to show love to. The most difficult ones, the most ones that are so unlovable, are the ones that need the love the most. Yeah. And I believe deep in my heart that every single student needs at least one adult in their daily school life for their face to light up when the kid walks in the room. I often imagine a student that walks, onto the bus, and someone is looking at them going, oh, here comes this kid again. And then they walk into their classroom, and then they walk out to recess, and then they walk to the lunchroom. And where's that adult that is happy to see them and has joy? And so if I know that a student feels that way about themselves, and that they are hard kids. I'm not saying like we have unloving adults. We have wonderful, loving educators and adults. But when a kid is exhibiting difficult behavior and difficult attitudes, and it can be hard on us adults. And so just finding, one or two or three adults that are coming in contact with these kids each day, and maybe it's pouring into that adult. so that then they can see that kid needs love and support. So it's not always easy.
Yeah.
And, sometimes there's really valid reasons that adults are frustrated with kids.
Yep.
But maybe, and I can't be there for every single kid. Oh man, I would love to, Ricky. I would love to know each kid and each of their hearts, but pouring into the adults that are around them each day and multiplying that love and the value. Can they see the value in that student? Is there one thing that they can see that's like, oh, that's really neat or unique about that kid? There's these 10 other things they're doing that are frustrating, but is there something that they can see that value? We all have value, every single one of us. So, yeah.
What are some of your personal practices that when you walk on that campus, you feel ready to love those kids, as Christ has loved us? What are some of your personal spiritual disciplines that you've found have been the best to prepare you on a daily basis to be the hands and feet of Jesus? Yeah.
I wish that I could tell you that I'm an early morning person and that I rise at before dawn and read my Bible for hours, but I'm not going to say that because that's not true. My husband gets up much earlier than I do. I do believe in really starting the day with prayer, and hopefully some scripture, even if it's a short bit of time, to just be ready for the day and what the Lord has for me. Also knowing that when we're dealing with families in crisis, staff members in crisis, kids in crisis, which I'm still doing on a regular basis, it might mean being flexible and being ready to just hear where we need to be the hands and feet instead of what my agenda is.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I have pretty booked calendar each day, and knowing that sometimes we have to put something to the side to care for people and to just take a deep breath and be ready to, for what I need to do. I also love praise music. I blast it in the morning. So if I don't wave at you on my way to work, it's probably because my music is on pretty loud and I'm getting ready for the day. But really, being prayerful and finding that when I'm frustrated with a situation or someone, just even if it's just really quickly, just laying it at the feet of Jesus and just saying, all right, I don't know what's going on with this person. And some of that has come from going through stuff myself within my own family, within my own kids, or my own marriage, or, difficult, situations that me and Brian have come across, and we're not, shouting from the mountaintop, have grace with us because we're dealing with this or we're struggling with that. But knowing that like maybe there's something going on in somebody's life. And so can I have a little grace even though I might not know what it is? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah.
Have you ever had to make a tough decision at work because of your faith?
Yeah. Yeah. In the last, I have been in Kingsburg Elementary for 18 years now. This is actually the end of my 18th. So, there have been times where there's been different state regulations on bathroom uses for different genders, or usage of different names or pronouns. And that continues to be and has been one of the most difficult things, because I do want to be respectful of both the law and regulations that are required of us, as well as the person. I don't know everybody's backstory or what they've gone through in their life and their beliefs. I can't put my beliefs onto someone that's not of my family or faith. want to also meet people where they're at and respect where they are. But I do believe that the Bible is very clear about these issues, and my faith says that I need to love. But that also doesn't mean that I necessarily am going to fully agree with everybody. So it's a really sensitive subject and issue. And I think what I've come through the last few years is loving people exactly where they're at, being respectful as I can without going against my faith, and understanding that, the Lord is really in judgment of their heart and their life and their decisions, and just trying to love people where they're at. Yeah, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Yeah. So.
So in your role as the community schools coordinator, you've got some exciting things coming up around the community that you've done and are doing and have planned for the future. And I see so much of, our Christian faith in these things.
Yeah.
And yet it is really supporting these kids and their families. So can you share a little bit about what's coming up? What are some of these things that you're part of planning and
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I think that one of the things that COVID really did was make the divide between schools and families and schools and the community even wider than it was. It isolated people, of course, in our homes and to learning online and all of that. But it also even as we have gotten back to normal, whatever that is, right? Some of those things that we took for granted, even back to school nights and all of that, it just became a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And it became a little bit more like, do we really need to do that? This and that. So this grant has brought us the opportunity to not only bring things back, but elevate other things. So our school district has always found partnering with parents to be an important thing. It's valuable to have parents as partners in classrooms, around our school sites, but also like supporting them in ways that they can raise their children well. So one of the things that I've been really focusing on the last 2 years is a program called Raising Highly Capable Kids. And a lot of people make the mistake of calling it parenting class, but it's not. It is actually really a parenting support group. So we run multiple sessions each year in the fall and the spring. We have sessions in Spanish and in English, and it focuses on the 40 assets that we want to see in kids, that we know that if they have these 40 assets, then as they grow, they're going to be capable adults and good participants in our communities. So there's internal assets that are like, knowing you have value, having confidence, having feeling like you can accomplish things and those kind of internal assets that they have. And then there's external assets like a neighborhood that you feel like there's supportive adults in your neighborhood, that you know where to go, that you feel safe in your community, that there are activities like after school programs and sports and those kind of things. So building those within parents and them seeing values in that they can bring these assets to their their students, their children. So that's been a really big one, and just really promoting that parents are the very first and best mentor for their kids, that they're the ones that can provide the love and support that their students need, that their children need in their homes. And so some of it is just encouraging parents to see the assets that they have as parents, the value that they have to pour into their kids, that maybe the academics are hard for them as well. I don't know. CJ, my youngest, is in math that I can't even imagine doing. So, but helping parents see where their input on their students' education is important, even if they didn't have a higher education themselves. And so I love it. I love raising highly capable kids. I love to see parents, maybe they start out where they're feeling, down about their parenting skills. And by the end, they're so excited to share the assets with their friends and family. And we've had multiple parents come back and come to a second session of Raising Highly Capable Kids, invite their friends. And we've also had a few moms that are wanting to teach or facilitate the program as well. And so that's been really neat to see. Yeah. So that's just one initiative. I don't know what you got yourself into right now, Ricky. I could tell you about 10 things. So another thing is we are partnering each month with a company that brings curriculum to our campuses in the evening time, provides dinner, and provides an activity that's academic based with families. So this month we'll have a night. It's a family night, and it'll be 35 families that sign themselves up. They'll have dinner, and then they're going to actually do a family science lab where they're going to build a little volcano, and then they're going to have chemical reactions that are going to actually make a volcano erupt with the parents and the students. And we literally have preschoolers all the way through high schoolers that come together with their moms and dads, grandma, whoever brings them. We had one older brother who's a college student bring his 5th grade brother, and they had an awesome time learning about magnetics together and enjoying food together. And so it's really, like I said a few minutes ago, about parents engaging in the curriculum that their students are doing during the school day. And it shows the student that the family values the education as well, and that they can have fun together and learn something together. Yeah. So that's another thing we're doing. We right now, currently, this very moment, are doing a CAPS food drive in all of our classrooms, where we're inviting students to bring canned foods and other things as a way to give back, because even students as little as preschool, kindergarten, they can bring a can of food to their classroom. Yeah. Obviously, it's a competition. We wouldn't do anything less, but right, each classroom is competing, but also that the student sees that they can be helpful to the community, that it's meaningful. And we make sure that we, show the students then pictures of their food at CAPS and how it piles up, and then how CAPS is able to distribute that to people in need. So not just showing kids that, just bring a can of food because, we might win, but showing them that what they did makes a difference in our community. Okay, I have another one for you. Yeah. We just finished with our community 5K. This is really, we want families out there running together and walking together. So this was the second annual 5K. That's 3.1 miles for people that aren't runners, which I am not. Yeah. So this was so far out of my comfort zone, but had a wonderful partner, Michael Reese at Rafer, had it on his heart to honor the legacy of Rafer Johnson, who was a Kingsburg resident, for people that don't know. Good little history lesson. That we would, use that track and field well at Rafer, and invite families and small children and older adults to come and walk, have a healthy Saturday morning, but not to be the fastest person or to get, it's not a qualifying run, Ricky. You can't qualify for your next marathon by our 5K. But what you can do is know that we're going to put on an event environment that promotes people being together and being fit and being physically well.
Yeah.
Because when kids are physically well, when they're well fed and they have energy and they're exercising with their families, that they do better in the classroom. And that's so important to me.
Yeah.
Let's see, next thing that we're doing, Laura North and I are working on a day called You Matter Day.
Yeah.
It will be on May 10th in downtown Kingsburg. And the goal of this day is to promote community service even for our young ones. So like I said with the food drive, we want students to know that they can make a difference, that they can participate in activities that, the many hands and feet can make a difference for people in our community. So it's going to be a day where there's going to be multiple booths, engaged all kinds of community service partnerships in here in Kingsburg, that people will get to go and do something, do an activity like create a small hygiene bag for homeless people, homeless students, homeless families, and they can put it together. So we'll have all the supplies that are necessary, and they'll just come and do the activity, and then it will go towards a service group. So we'll go back to the example of CAPS. We have some farmers and OK Produce that are donating a large amount of produce. And what we'll do is it'll be like we'll make boxes like assembly line style, where students will be able to fill boxes of fresh produce. And then on Monday morning, CAPS will be able to give those out. And the senior center will also be able to give those boxes of fresh fruits and vegetables out to people in need in our community that can benefit. So, yeah. So it's as much a benefit to these different organizations that are in need. I think Cancer Volunteers will be out there. I believe Lions Club will be out there. I believe Kiwanis will be out there. Tuesday Club will be out there. KCC and First Baptist Church are partnering again to support Samaritan's Purse and the Operation Christmas Child. So there'll be a lot to do. Spirit Horse will be receiving a donation that will help their shelter. So there's going to be lots and lots to do. And what we found is that it is a blessing to bless these different organizations, but also what a blessing to be the hands and feet and to go out there and do something to help our community. So it's going to be a good event. I can't really take full credit for it in any way, shape, or form. Laura North and I went to You Matter Day in Fresno, and we said, this is such a wonderful thing. We have to bring it to Kingsburg. Yeah. And so to see it now starting to come alive is pretty incredible. So, yep.
I mean, it's amazing.
It is. It really is a blessing. It really is. It's hard work.
Yeah.
For all of us that are involved. It's not just me. I have a whole team of people, but wow, it's incredible work. So yeah.
What a blessing for our community to learn service and how essential that is in our faith. Yeah. Jesus came not to be served, but to serve.
Absolutely.
And I just think that's a beautiful thing that we get to encourage these kids to serve, get out there. And so if somebody wants to be involved, how would they do that with You Matter Day? You Matter Day. Is it too late?
What we want is for them to come down to downtown Kingsburg. Starting at 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, May 10th. And they'll find us between California Street and Ellis, is that right?
Smith?
No, Smith. Between Smith. On Draper Street. And it will be a great day. And they don't have to come at a specific time. They can just come down. We'll have maps. We'll have posters and signage so they know what to do at each booth. They can go to a booth and stay there for a long period of time and help at that booth, or they can go from booth to booth and enjoy each of the activities that will give back in some way. So heroes matter, children matters, family matters, community matters. These are all important things that we will be focusing on that day, and it's going to be a great event.
How cool. So what advice would you give to someone listening as they're driving to work, maybe? How can they better live out their faith in their workplace? What are some ways to think about that?
I think being prayerful, of course, is important.
Yeah.
Being prayerful about even your daily agenda, like what's going to happen that day. We don't know. We probably have our plans, our calendar invites, our watches and our phones alerting us that there's a meeting in 10 minutes, whatever it may be, but being open to what the Lord has for you each day, being humble and prayerful about how we can serve each other, how we can serve in our roles and in our job duties. Of course, we all want to do a good job, have a good evaluation, and keep our positions. Yeah. But how can we serve the Lord in those? And then I just also feel the need to talk about multiplying our, God can do whatever he wants with our abilities. And so leaning into the blessings that we have and the gifts that he has given us, he can multiply that far beyond what we think we can do. Yeah. So if I'm prayerful about what I think I can accomplish that day and I really can give it to the Lord, then I know that maybe it only seems like I was able to do this and that because I had this long conversation with someone who's having a hard time. I might not see that. I might be like, oh, I didn't accomplish my list. I had my checkoff list, what I wanted to accomplish today, but I don't know the seeds that I was able to plant in that adult that's then going to go out and deal with, 20 more people. Yeah. And so I just want to always lean on, prayer, loving people where they're at, and being really mindful that God can multiply. He can multiply finances. He can multiply the fruits of the Spirit. He can multiply a conversation to then go on to the next person. He can multiply encouragement. And so I just need to constantly remind myself that God can do far greater than Linda can. Yeah. Linda is frustrated often, too busy often, too self-absorbed, and God can take what he's given me and multiply it any way he wants. I just have to be open to that, and be willing to listen to him. And I can think of times where I thought, like, no way, Lord, you're not telling me that to go and have that conversation. And then later on, had the conversation and felt like, I don't know what that was for, but whatever. And then later on finding out that made a huge impact and that I felt silly talking to the person about whatever I was talking about, but that he was then able to multiply that effort. And so I have to trust him. I have to lay my, am I the center of my life? Am I on the throne, or is the Lord? And I want the Lord to be. But that usually means at work that I constantly have to lay it down and let the Lord guide me. Easier said than done some days. Boy, it's easy to jump back on the throne, especially when I feel like I'm doing a good job and this is great effort and all these good things I've told you about. And I am proud of my job, and I am proud that I work for a district that loves families and kids and our community. But man, I just sometimes have to chop myself right off at the knees and say, no, Lord, this is for you. And this is for the great works that you'll have us do here in Kingsburg. So,
yeah. Wow, I love that. And you've talked about flexibility, leading with prayer, being open to what God has before you, even if it conflicts with the agenda you set for that day. Mm-hmm. And you think about the ministry of Jesus and how many interruptions he had, and those are the stories that we know. were the interruptions to what they were doing. And it's just those interactions, those conversations that you have that you might not think much of, or what was that? And then you find out it's a divine appointment.
Yeah. I mean, it's even like we just want God to hurry up, right?
Yeah.
Like I see the solution to this problem with this child or with this parent or with this whatever. And I'm like, what? This is easy to accomplish, Lord. I know you can do it. You're a great God, but sometimes we need to wait until the time is right, until God's time is right. And, I think recently I was talking about Jesus and Lazarus, and they told Jesus, his friends told him, your friend who you love, Lazarus, is sick. And Jesus, said that, yeah, I love him. And he still didn't go for 2 days because the glory of the Lord needed to shine through, raising Lazarus from the dead. Yeah. And Jesus knew that. He wept with Mary and Martha. Yeah. And I just think, I want to say, hurry up, Jesus, go. Your friend is sick. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. But man, we really would have missed the glory of the Lord of that story and his humanity to weep with the sisters and that. And so, man, wish I could take the reins and tell God what to do, but I cannot.
Well, we're about out of time. But as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you again for making the time to do this. Thank you for your work in the community, the way that you're teaching our kids to serve their community, and you're raising these kids up because they're our neighbors. They're the ones who are going to be leading in the future. And
even my own kid, Ricky, who said he was not going to be staying here in Kingsburg, came back from college and is teaching, yes. Yeah. So by the glory and grace of God, I am absolutely blessed to be in, and I can say this honestly, in all the positions that I've been in here in Kingsburg in the last 18 plus years. I just really find it to be an absolute blessing that I have been able to be part of so many students' lives, so many teachers' lives, so many staff members, so many parents, so many families. And it's an honor. It's an honor. And I'm not saying it was always easy work, but man, it's been worth every day that I've been able to be. And I hope that I get to continue with this district for a lot more years and be in this community a lot more years and continue to be a blessing. I hope I am. Yeah. I hope I am. Yeah. So.
Well, you are, and I hope the same thing, many more years.
Yeah.
So how can we be praying for you in your work and what you're doing, and anything on your heart that we can be praying for?
Yeah, I'm really seeing a revitalization of parents wanting to parent their kids, really wanting to be active participants in bringing their kids up and raising them right. And I think so. Please pray for families. Pray for families to come to the Lord. Pray for marriages to be strong and for parents to see their children as the potential adults that they are going to be. Yeah. Pray for the kids that are struggling in school. I would say a major thing on my heart is to pray for students and social media and internet safety. We're finding more and more the devastation that is happening and the trauma that's happening online that parents don't even realize is in their own home. Used to be homes were safe, and now the World Wide Web has changed that. The damaging effects of what students and children think about themselves because of what social media says about them or doesn't say about them. Mm-hmm. And in my own family life, that has definitely become a factor. So I want prayer for our young people to know that they are who God says they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Prayer for me, obviously that I would continue to do God's work, even in a school district that is a public school district. I know I have a lot of support, and just that I would continue to do a good job in my faith and in my job, and that I would see our needs of our parents and our community, that I would see them clearly, that I would know which initiatives to keep putting forth.
Yeah.
And that I wouldn't rely on only my knowledge, but really what families need, what staff members need, what students need. And that I could, these principals are wonderful people, and they are working so hard to make their campuses safe and productive. So please pray with me for all our administrators in our district and our staff members. That is on my heart daily. Yeah.
Amen. Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah, you're on the front lines of a lot.
Yeah.
And so, thank you. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah.
So appreciate you, Linda, and your heart, your love for our community. And man, what a great testament.
Thank you. What a great conversation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave here feeling revitalized by this. So thank you.
Oh, good. All right. Well, thank you again. And thank you, listeners. This is Thinking About Faith podcast. And please tell your friends and share this so we can encourage each other in thinking about our faith in all aspects of our life. God bless.